Let's start today's episode with a bit of a story, right? So I discovered copywriting and marketing back in 2005. And for the first couple of years, I really ended up with just one client. Now, the benefit or the great thing about this one client is they were actually an employer. It was my full-time job to do marketing and copywriting. And, I wasn't that good yet, but it was an entry level position. And so it was a place where I could learn quickly on the job and get a lot of experience. And then it was like 2 more years, maybe 3, before I actually got my next paying client. And then it was at least a few months before I had my next paying client. And it was, let's see, at this point, we're talking 2007, we're talking 2008. And it was another year and a half, 2 years before I had any regularity of paying clients. And it was in 2010 when I finally launched my copywriting business as a full-time thing. And, along the way, I definitely ran into, I ran into these 2 struggles that I'm going to talk about, the 2 main reasons you still struggle to get clients. I ran into these myself plenty of times. And it really wasn't until 2010 when I was launching my freelance copywriting business that I completely overcame these struggles, at least to the point where when I was willfully, minding these things, I was able to get all the clients that I wanted. Now, I want to point these out to you today with the hope that you are able to be much more intentional about this than I was in the beginning, that you get these lessons earlier in your career if you're struggling to get clients, or earlier in the growth of your business, so that you don't have to deal with the struggles in quite the same way. So that's the topic of today's episode, the 2 main reasons you still struggle to get clients.
These are the proven direct response marketing, copywriting, and entrepreneurship success strategies you can use today to write your own ticket and create the life you want. I am Roy Furr, and this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Now, here's today's breakthrough.
So what are the 2 main reasons you struggle to get clients? Well, number 1 is you're not good enough. What value you're providing to the client is not good enough yet. I've been there. I've been there. Okay, so it's not that it can't be good enough. It's not that you're not good enough. It's just that your skill at this particular thing that you're trying to sell clients is not good enough yet. Number 2 is you're not making enough offers. You're not actually putting offers in front of enough potential clients to the point where you are going to actually get all the clients that you want. And frankly, if you break down all the other reasons that you might be struggling to get clients, they probably can all be broken down to these 2 things. So I'm going to go through these a little bit and give a little bit more context and give you some action items as far as what you can do to overcome these struggles in your freelance business. So first off, I think back to actually John Carlton, and I'm going to talk about this in the context of copywriting a lot because that's where I'm at, and that's where a lot of my subscribers are at in terms of the industry or the skill that they're selling to clients. But the reality is that this applies no matter what you're selling to clients. If you're not good enough, if the quality or the value of what you're selling is not good enough, or you're not making enough offers of what it is that you're selling, you're going to struggle no matter what it is, right? No matter what the client service is. So I'm thinking back to John Carlton and one of his copywriting programs that I got early in my copywriting career, and it really stuck with me that he had this 3-step process to becoming a successful copywriter. And step 1 is get good. Step 1 of success as a copywriter is to get good at copywriting. Get good at copywriting. Step 2 is get connected, which means you're connecting to the players in your niche in your industry, the people who are actually in there playing the game, the people who are building businesses, the people who are successful and actually able to hire copywriters, and also connecting to other copywriters who are able to refer you and get you connected with the people who would hire you. And then step 3 is to get paid. And you can't really skip step 1 or step 2. And step 1 and step 2 are really, these other 2 reasons, in different clothing. Not good enough, get good. And not making enough offers, that's what you're doing when you're getting connected. And in the end, you get clients and you get paid. So again, like diving into this not good enough thing, if you're not providing your clients with the quality, the value of the service that they need in order to have you on, to take you on, then like they're not going to hire you. And so, I see a lot of copywriters, for example, emailing me, asking questions, talking about, oh, I'm struggling to get clients, whatever. And a lot of them have, they don't communicate in a way that I would want to publish on my business website, right? They don't like their language choices, their punctuation, their actual grammar. It's not that you have to have perfect grammar as a copywriter, but as a copywriter, you need to have pretty good grammar and know when you're breaking the rules to break them effectively. And you'll find that great copywriters actually don't use great grammar. In terms of copywriters who know how to generate a response with what they write. But they do use consistent sentence structure. They do use clear conversational language. There's definitely a lot of clarity there, and their message is communicated. And what I notice over and over again is a lot of people who say that they're struggling to get clients their message is not clearly communicated. Like, it takes interpretation, and you can't rely on your market to interpret that. And this is them sending messages to me. I don't know what their messages to potential clients look like, but if I was a potential client and I was getting messages having the same just fundamental writing flaws, I wouldn't be hiring that person as a writer to represent my business. And then we get into the actual like persuasive ability of copywriters, right? And so if you are, if you're a copywriter, what you write to try and get me as a client should probably be a little bit persuasive. There should be fundamental elements of persuasion and communication and copywriting that inspire me to respond. And if I'm not getting that from you, if you're not like whetting my appetite and getting me excited about connecting with you, then I'm probably not going to want to hire you as a copywriter. And so these fundamental like skills of copywriting, getting good at copywriting, getting good at communication, getting good at persuading people to take action, you can't skip this. And so this is why, especially early on in your copywriting career, mixing things like studying and practice, whether that's, going through the classic books on copywriting, consuming every bit of free content on the internet that you can, like you're doing right now, diving deeper into things like my BTMS Insiders training library, which it's like Netflix for copywriting and marketing training, where you pay a monthly fee and you get access to everything. Doing that kind of studying where you're going deep is pretty powerful, but also you need to be practicing. You need to be practicing your writing consistently. And, I don't know exactly how it works best for you to do it. I found that like doing a daily email is great practice for me, even when far fewer people were reading it and it wasn't generating as much revenue as it does today. Just consistently writing every day, writing to yourself, writing to other people every day, practicing your writing ability as well as your communication, like your persuasion ability, getting people to take action with what you write. Writing those things will help you become a writer writes. And so many people don't want to write until they're getting paid. But if you want to be a writer who gets paid for your writing, you have to write well. And the way that you write well is you write consistently. And the more consistently that you write, the more opportunities you're giving yourself to, look at your writing, to reflect on your writing, to decide, ooh, I like that, I didn't like that, I would do this differently, I would make these edits. And that's going to make you a better writer. Even better if you're able to do it in places where you can get feedback. So for example, my first job that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, that wasn't a direct response company. And I wasn't really having opportunities to write what you would think of as direct response copy. But I was working in a company where we were measuring results of our marketing, and I could look at certain data, and I was able to practice my writing, and I was able to get feedback from experienced marketers on the team, and I was able to look at the response of, putting new things out in the marketplace. And so I did get a lot of practice even before it was direct response. I was just practicing there, practice, right? And oftentimes actually when I was new as a copywriter, and I'm just remembering this now, I would do things like write my own sales letter for an offer that didn't actually exist yet. Like I had a few of those things where I had an idea and I turned it into a sales letter. And that sales letter never went out and it never did anything, but it was still great practice. And so finding different opportunities to practice. And, one last thing about this, not good enough yet. Be willing to put in the reps. So many people, like copywriting is so often sold, and there are other things, business type opportunities or skills are often sold as like this magic pill, right? So you discover copywriting, you wake up rich, right? You discover copywriting, you wake up rich. There's all this money in the copywriting market. There is all this money in the copywriting market. And there are tons of freedoms that come with becoming a successful copywriter. But most people want to skip from like that moment of discovery to that success. And that really you can't skip this get good, get connected, or not good enough, not making enough offers. You can't skip these steps. And I think of it like kettlebell. Like I've been working out with kettlebells going back well over a decade at this point, off and on. And recently I've started to become much more intentional with like strength building with my kettlebell and working up towards heavier kettlebells. And I have my biggest kettlebell that I currently have is a 70-pounder. And the reality is that I can't really do that much with a 70-pound kettlebell. I can do very low reps of some of my exercises, and I can do different things, and I do sometimes. But if I were to try and do, for example, the workout I did this morning, but only do it with the 70-pound kettlebell, like I would have killed myself. And my body is going to give me that feedback that like, ooh, no, you can't do this yet. You're not like in this particular instance, like good equals strong, right? Like this not good enough, I'm not strong enough to do certain things with the 70-pound kettlebell yet. So if you are, trying to connect the dots here, if you're a 35-pound copywriter, like able to do all this stuff with 35-pound copy and 35-pound clients and whatever, and you go approach these 70-pound clients and you say, I'm going to do these, well, the market's going to give you feedback that, ooh, you can't do that yet. And it's not going to show up in the form of physical pain, but it's going to show up in the form of all sorts of struggling to get clients and failure when you do get them. And whereas if you get really good at, let's say the first kettlebell that I bought was this 35-pounder. Get really good with all the exercises at the 35-pounder. Then you can work up. And I have a 45-pounder, and I have a 53-pounder, and I have the 70-pounder now, right? And so you can work up through these different things. And most people who discover copywriting, like it seems like most people at least, are not actually willing to put in those reps of working up. And the reality is the faster that you can put in those reps and work up, the faster you will improve as a copywriter, the stronger your copywriting and marketing will become, and the better you'll be. And you'll stop running into as many scenarios, as many situations where, the client's giving you the feedback of, you're not there yet. And so go out there and get the experience doing these things where they are within your strength zone. Maybe they're up at that top edge of your strength zone so you can continue to grow. But like, don't assume that, just because you discovered copywriting, you can go to like the highest heights of success at that point. So that's all I'm going to say about not good enough. I want to dive into this not making enough offers. So even if you're getting great at, okay, so there's this old movie, which Field of Dreams was the name of the movie. And the plot was basically this person was I guess they were thinking about their dad who played baseball with Shoeless Joe Jackson, or maybe their grandpa, and they got like this message from heaven that if you build it, they will come. If you build it, and they knew that it was like, I'm living on this farm in the middle of Iowa. There's this cornfield, and I need to like cut down the corn and build a baseball field in my cornfield. And if I build it, they will come. And what happens is these ghosts of all these famous baseball players, they come and they play on this baseball field in the cornfield, and the person's dad shows up, etc. Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen this movie that's decades old. Well, there's this mentality in so much of business and life, whatever. Like, if I build this skill, success is going to come to me. And the reality is that oftentimes it doesn't. And even really top copywriters who stop actively prospecting, who stop actively putting offers into the marketplace, can struggle and go through dry periods where, because they're not making enough offers, they're not getting all the clients that they want. Whereas those same copywriters, like, once you are good enough, if you're out there connecting, proactively connecting, making offers, putting offers out in the marketplace, then it becomes much easier, even with like slightly lower skill. Like, you don't have to be quite as good if you put out a ton of offers to generate the same volume of demand for your services. And so, number one, like, I remember a couple of years back, I had some copywriters in Lincoln, Nebraska for a workshop that I did on financial copywriting. And we were just talking at dinner. Like, one of the things that I typically do is I host a dinner as part of these little workshops that I do. And we were just talking at dinner, and the guy there who was the newest also was experiencing really rapid success as a copywriter. And he said, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get why people struggle to get clients, because when I needed clients, I knew that I had all the time in the world that I would otherwise be spending on client work. And so what I did with that time was I went out and I knocked on doors. Now, figuratively, metaphorically, right? He was going out, and I think actually literally in some cases for him, he was going out and approaching people and saying, hey, I would love to be able to help you with your marketing. Would you like to discuss how I could help you get more leads and customers for your business, generate more revenue for your business through better marketing? And he was just knocking on doors. And until he had all the client work he could handle, he would fill in all the time he could with these knocking on doors hours that he would use to approach clients. And even as you're doing that, oftentimes what's going to happen is you're going to realize, like, people respond to your offer in different ways. And so if you're not making enough offers, there's the sheer volume of offers that you're making, like the sheer number of leads that you're approaching, but not all offers are created equal. And so it's worth experimenting with different approaches, different offers to get in the door with these potential clients. And you have to figure out, like, okay, how can I appeal to these clients in different ways through making perhaps a different offer for my services. So if I'm having trouble getting like one particular client, or if I'm having trouble getting much traction for one particular offer, like, let me rewrite your website for you. Maybe I need to figure out, let me help you get clients off Facebook, or let me help you get clients through Google Ads, or let me help you write landing pages or long form VSLs, or let me help you with email marketing, or whatever these different things. You experiment with different approaches and you see what resonates based on your market, based on the prospects you're approaching. And I would say, like, the number one thing to remember early on is that you want to do customized offers before scalable. So one thing that I notice a lot, for example, on LinkedIn, I get all sorts of messages that are just clearly copy paste of different prospecting messages. People approaching me and just pasting in the exact same thing. They don't know me. They don't know my business. They didn't try to learn anything about my business. and as a result, what I'm getting feels like it's completely irrelevant to me. Well, that person's going to say, "Oh, I'm struggling to get clients, even though I'm approaching I approached 1,000 people in the last week." Well, you approached 1,000 people with irrelevant, non-customized, non-relevant messages about a service that they don't care about, or that you did not do a good enough job making it relevant to them that they could care about it. And so customizing your approaches to the individual clients that you want the most, do that before you try to figure out how to make a scalable offer. Now, later on in your business, you might figure out, okay, I was able to do this for this group of clients, and I was able to develop this reputation, and I was able to develop this adaptable approach, and so we can make it a little bit more scalable. But in the short term, if you're trying to get clients, if you're trying to figure out how to fill your schedule with clients, focus on customized before scalable, because a customized offer that feels like it's something that is designed for me is always going to be more interesting and more relevant than an offer that just feels like it's this is the same thing I send to everybody. And then finally, target high probability prospects. So what do I mean by that? For example, I have tried off and on to get involved in different markets. And one of those is the startup market. And believe it or not, Lincoln, Nebraska actually has Nebraska has a really thriving startup scene. And another market I've tried to get involved with is the nonprofit market. And my experience with both of those is that it's very low probability to be able to sell my services to them at the value. So I am good enough to generate results for either market. It's very hard for me to actually work with those people because they don't want to work in the way that I work. They don't want to do the type of marketing that I want to do. And if I'm spending all of my time trying to convince them to do that, that's time that could be better spent elsewhere. And so targeting high probability prospects means targeting people who are most likely to hire people like you, clients who are most likely to do business with service providers like you. So for example, when I was getting into copywriting as a full-time thing back in 2010, I went after direct response companies who had hired a bunch of copywriters in the last year. I knew that they were actively hiring copywriters. And they were actively hiring copywriters for the type of marketing that I wanted to write. Well, suddenly that becomes so much easier because that opportunity that's there, it's a fit for what I'm trying to do. And so they become a high probability prospect because they're already looking for people like me. And so there's that recognition. Now, if you want to go deeper into launching your client business, I actually have a free Launch Your Client Business mini course, and I'll include a link with this episode in order for you to sign up for that. It's 3 episodes long, and it goes much deeper into, there's a lot of thinking that goes into successfully launching or relaunching your client business. And it covers all those bases and goes much deeper on topics relevant to today's episode's topic. I'm Roy Furr. This has been your daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Leave a comment with this episode. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found it and why. What are your action items from this? What are your takeaways? How might you approach getting clients a little bit differently because of what you've heard today? Also, tap that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you. And so the magical algorithms of the internet share it with more people like you who will find it valuable. You can certainly share it with folks directly, and subscribe before you go. Subscribe here. And go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com if you're not already on my email list. You'll get, if you sign up there, you'll get my daily emails with episode notifications, plus more exclusive content for email subscribers. Thanks for tuning in for this episode. I always aim for 10 out of 10 value. I hope I've delivered it here, and I will catch you again in the next episode. See you soon.
Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.